Hello and welcome to Something's Off with Andrew Heaton. I'm your host, Andrew Heaton, and it being a Friday, we're going to do another release valve episode. That is to say that we are under no obligation to be thoughtful or substantive at any point in today's podcast. We'll try to avoid it where we can. I'm going to bring on Chad Prather here in a minute, and he's going to be funny along with me discussing some of the headlines that CNN, NPR, Fox are all too cowardly to handle, and we'll get into them. But before we do that, funny or not, we do have to pay the bills, and that means a word to our sponsor. The program is brought to you by the Seeing Eye Horse Foundation, a fine organization that provides guides to blind people that happen to be horses. That is, the guides are horses. I've done this throughout the week. I think you're aware at this point that the Seeing Eye Horse Foundation is a fine organization that adds a lot of autonomy and dignity to people's lives. I've got some feedback and email from listeners this week, so I need to clarify a few things. As you know, my favorite diner is Snuffy's off Route 44, and I spend a surprising amount of time on this program reminding you that though the wait staff is on horseback, you should not bring your horse to Snuffy's. So a couple of you emailed me and wanted to know, if you're blind, can you bring your guide horse to Snuffy's? Yes, you can. But I want to further clarify because somebody brought in a blind horse to Snuffy's earlier this week. That's not the same thing. If your horse is blind, it doesn't matter. Don't bring your horse to Snuffy's. And in answer to your next question, because I know I'm going to get this in email, if you have an emotional support animal that is a horse who's blind, that's also fine. You can bring that to Snuffy's. The main point here is you need to have some kind of support animal if you're going to bring it into the diner. Otherwise, don't bring it. The Seeing Eye Horse Foundation. Make your guide a clopper. Chad Prather triumphantly returning to the program. Chad, thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me. You know, you would think that by now you wouldn't have to explain this to people about the horses.
This is where I am in my life.
The PSA should not have to exist. I will tell you a good thing about having a comfort horse is that if you're like me and you like to imbibe, I keep whiskey on hand in case I ever encounter a rattlesnake. And so in one saddlebag, I keep the whiskey, and in the other saddlebag, I keep the rattlesnake. So what
Good call.
But what I've found is if you imbibe too much on the sarsaparilla, unlike getting in your car and trying to drive home, the horse...
It knows where you're going.
It just kind of takes you.
It's a 19th century Tesla.
It really is.
You just hop on that and go home, Jeeves.
It self-drives. I think we should have, you know when you go to the bank and you pull the tube out and you put your stuff in, the check or whatever you need to deposit, and it just goes away? We should have that for humans. Like you walk outside the bar, you step right into the tube, and it just goes to your house. It just deposits you right there at the front door.
I will immediately move to whatever glorious Jetson city you have where I can just step into a transparent elevator drunk and then go through a pneumatic tube process back to my house. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And probably lose calories somehow.
Yeah. Get with it, Elon Musk.
Yeah. Thanks, Elon. So I'll kick a couple stories to you. So from Massachusetts, Haziel Correa recalled, then reelected as Fall River mayor. So what happened is Fall River, they had an election. On the ballot, you could elect to recall the mayor because he's under federal indictment for fraud. But also, you still had to vote for mayor. And so the town of Fall River voted to recall said mayor, but then simultaneously voted to reelect him. Have you been to Fall River? I know you travel a lot.
No, that's Massachusetts, right?
It's Massachusetts.
Fall River, Massachusetts. Kennedy by any other name really is just Correa. No, I've never been to Fall River.
I'm from Oklahoma, and I had never been to New England before, and I went up there. I was working on a film there a few years ago, and I expected all of Massachusetts to basically be Bob Newhart. I thought it was going to be like nothing but like Ivy League professors in sweater vests wandering around smoking pipes, and I went to Fall River, and that place, like, I walked out, and immediately people are like, "Hey, how are you? I'm not good because my dad got canceled from the factory, so we hit the foreman in the face with a bottle." And you're like, "Oh my God, what group is this?" There's like the whole realm of Massachusetts that is not portrayed in media normally, and Fall River's the capital of that part of Massachusetts.
It's like an expanded Southie. Of Boston.
Yeah, yes, very much so. And it's also like, I feel kind of bad for it because you can tell Fall River's had better times. Like it's part of that Rust Belt phenomenon where like the cake shop will only be open one day a week. Like a lot of the, like everything but the grocery store, there were a lot of businesses were only open 1 or 2 days a week. There's not enough business drummed up for them. I think the deal that happened from what I understand, I think the mayor that got recalled, I think there were probably 3 or 4 mayoral options. so that even though he only got like 30%, he was still the top category. Because I can't fathom that everyone simultaneously changed their mind halfway through the ballot, where they're like, yeah, we should kick out that bastard. And then like a minute later, we're like, you know what? I like that guy. He's a character. I'm going to vote for him.
Can I get my ballot back? Or could you dig through and get my ballot back? I changed my mind.
Or maybe it was maybe they thought that was like the appropriate punishment, was we are going to, like, for all of 18 seconds you won't be mayor, but then we want you to come on back.
Yeah. Now, there were 4 candidates, and so there were some selections there. But this is the dude that created the app, right?
Yeah. He created an app, yeah. Which I like. I don't know what the app. No, I looked into this. The app connects businesses with customers, which good call. There's a lot of stuff for that. It was kind of vague on that. The thing that freaked me out, because the charges against him, they say it's fraud, and that according to the people that are accusing him of this, that he was using it like an ATM machine, and he bought a Mercedes, and then he used it to bankroll his campaign as mayor of Fall River. What moron commits fraud to become mayor of Fall River, Massachusetts? Like, if you're gonna become mayor of a town, don't spend $200,000 becoming mayor of Fall River. Like there are plenty of other towns that I would try and create a political machine in before Fall River.
This guy, I think he spent close to $250,000. Because I think he raised from different donors. He raised about $360,000, and then I think he used close to $250,000 on his, as you say, his car and his campaign and all of these things. I mean, do you think somebody like that?
I'd pay $300 right now to not be mayor of Fall River, Massachusetts. I would.
I mean, can you?
If I got drafted.
No kid that I've ever met has said, you know what, I want to find a place that is Pleasantville meets Mooseport, and I want to be the mayor. You know, it's like Mayor Goldie Wilson, the mayor, Back to the Future. You know, I want to be the mayor. No, I mean, who thinks of doing something like that?
I would do that. I just don't want to do Fall River, because the town you're describing, it's that plus an economic slump from 30 years and a bunch of displaced factory workers that hurt people with bottles. You get in front of the podium
at the city council meeting and there's chicken wire, you know, just to keep people from throwing stuff at you.
You know what? So last week I proposed I want to start a town where, because I love small town rivalries, and I love like all the stuff that's like, we got the biggest nonstick frying pan in America. I love that stuff, and I want to form a town based on 2 pillars: tourism through novelty and spite to other towns. So we'll just go through and figure out, like, oh, you've got like the biggest emu farm on this side of the Mississippi. Well, now we do, and then that'll be the whole thing, just developing it. That'd be fun to be mayor of.
Yeah, you could set the whole town up like a museum. Like, it could be, you just go to this section of town, and now you have the biggest ball of yarn. So forget the folks over in Utah.
Yeah.
And now,
yeah, I think there's something to it. Although I would be tempted to do what Vermont did. In the town of Fairhaven, Vermont, which sounds like the most Vermont town I can think of, Fairhaven.
I want to go to Fairhaven in the fall.
Yeah, it sounds lovely, doesn't it? They probably get really good syrup. They elected a goat as mayor of their town, and hats off to them. I think that's great. Like, I really like it when towns sort of acknowledge that they don't really need an elected leader that bad, and then there's either they do it for charity, or alternately the state constitution requires them to have a mayor, and they're like, no, we'll just nuts to you. We'll have a goat. How about that? I think that's great. Alaska does that. Alaska and Minnesota have like long-standing traditions of electing animals as mayors.
Did the goat develop an app too for like connecting goats with terrorists? I don't know.
This is all a giant scam. The owner of the goat pocketed $300,000. He's driving Mercedes. See, he figured it out. He didn't have any. You own the goat. You don't have any responsibility. Yeah. The goat is your fallback, right? Your fall animal. You get all that donor money.
Yeah. So I wonder if it's a fainting goat. You know what the fainting goats are?
Are they real? Are they a real thing?
Oh, they're real. I've got a friend that just bought several fainting goats, and they won't faint. Like, I mean, they're scaring the shit out of these. So they're just goats all the time, and they can't get them. So they're just goats.
That sounds like a goat salesman played a really good trick on some guys trying to buy some fainting goats.
I mean, this is like cruelty to animal stuff. If you watch these videos, and I can literally sit there for hours and just watch this online. These people just scaring these goats, and they're just poof, they just pass out. You know, it's like a Pentecostal church with goats just they're just falling down.
100%. I am. That's the prank I'm going to do when my New York friends come down to visit. I'm going to go, why don't you come out? You're going to yell at some fainting goats. Go ahead. Just faint already. Just yelling at these regular goats.
I won't do it.
Maybe doing fainting cows. Yeah, they're fainting cows. Come out and yell at them. Get them to stand in a field for 20 minutes.
I want to know, though, how do you elect a goat as mayor? I don't.
Because I love this stuff. I think it's really cool. They've got different, sometimes like Alaska, because Alaska's got this pioneer mentality. Alaska, I think they'll have certain obligations where if you got a post office, and I could be wrong. If you're in Alaska, feel free to correct me on this. But I think there might be something like if you've got a post office, you have to have a mayor. But it's like 40 people, and they don't want a mayor, so they'll elect a cat almost out of spite, which I like. And then in like Minnesota, what they'll do, and I think this is what the goat is. In Minnesota, you'll have your town of Moose Jaw, Minnesota, and then there'll be a suburb of it, and they'll elect an honorary mayor, and it'll be kind of like a fundraising thing that's a community. So like I can't remember the town, but there's a town in Minnesota that always has a toddler as mayor. And they just put all the toddlers in the town, they put their name in a hat and they draw it out, and then the little toddler wears a top hat. It's adorable. And if I were in that town, I would run a harsh attack campaign. I would 100% step up to the plate and just be the worst mudslinging candidate.
In your beard,
me as a 35-year-old bearded man. Yeah,
wear a diaper. Just
wear
to
a diaper.
Cloth diaper. You know
I'd do that. I'd heckle him at kindergarten class. I would just be the worst human being in the world.
We're making diapers great again. That's what you could do. But so they're not getting a mayor. They're getting a mascot.
Yeah, really, that's what they're getting. Which is what I really want in executives is I want them to quit doing stuff and just be a mascot. That's why I like the Queen of England. We talked about this in a former episode. So
you turned me on. This is off the subject. Now I'll stop. But you turned me on to that show, The Crown. Yeah, now I'm fascinated.
Yeah.
Like we had got addicted. I mean, we binge watched The Crown after that.
I'm the main gateway to The Crown. They should be giving me royalties and things. Yeah.
They really should.
Did you finish it? Because I only got through the first season.
No, we're into the second season. Okay. And Philip, I mean, this show is really about Philip to me. It's really, to me, yes, it's about Queen Elizabeth, but to me, it's like Philip having to watch this thing from the sidelines and engage in this deal.
And actually, if you're listening at home and you like the rapport that Chad and I have, as I do, you can go back. We had a really good episode where we did a whole biopic on Prince Philip, the consort of the Queen of England. And as a follow-up on that, they have now taken away his license because what precipitated the episode is he's like 98 years old, and he like sideswiped a woman in an SUV and like sent her to the hospital and stuff. And they've now they took his license away and agreed not to prosecute, which I think is a funny thing, assuming he didn't drive. And then he never apologized to the lady, at least last I checked, which I also find kind of funny.
I wonder, and I asked this question to my wife the other day, I wonder if they've watched that. Like, would you think? My wife's like, no, of course not. And I'm like, I would. If they made a biopic about my life,
100%.
I would watch it. And just so I can go, that's not true, because that's where you come in. And it's like, okay, how much of this is for dramatic effect? They get the details right. Like this happened in this timeline. She couldn't marry him because he was divorced. You're talking about. So all of these, yes, those things happen. Yes, Churchill's wife burnt the portrait. All of that stuff. But how much of the behind-the-scenes things do we know? I mean, was it like, do you really have that? Like, I don't love you anymore, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you around the world for the rest of your life to cut ribbons.
When they make the Chad Prather biopic, when they make it, who do you think would play you?
Oh, I think that's definitely a Brad Pitt thing.
Yeah, I could see that. You know what? I could see that actually.
Brad Pitt,
I could. Yeah, I think at this point, because Brad's probably he's getting a little bit older. I think Chris Pratt would be a better guy for you.
You got to church it up a little bit. I mean, like the girl that plays Queen Elizabeth and the girl that plays her sister, they're far better looking than the real queens and princesses.
Weirdly enough, the star actresses, the starlets that are like circa 25 years of age are slightly better.
I read a thing this morning, and I don't know if it's true, and I hope it's not, that says that when you look in the mirror, your brain tells you that you look 5 times better than you really do in real life.
That is, if that's true, I am a Quasimodo. That is terrifying. If I when I look in the mirror, that gawky, gangly scarecrow of a man,
you are handsome. The beautiful thing about you, Mighty Heaton, is you could do the beard or without. Like you're what mid 30s, early to mid late 30s.
I'm 35. I'm exactly on the dividing line.
You're right there where you are. I'm 12 years older than you, but you carry off that young, mature look so well. I really think you need to launch that line of smoking jackets.
We talked about this. Yeah, I'm thinking. Let me know if you're interested, audience. I'm thinking about starting a smoking jacket line and maybe ascot line and possibly pocket square line. I've actually got some interesting ideas for pocket squares as well.
That's a hot deal.
I don't know who else to do it. I could do it. Hold on, I'm going to jump. We've made it to 2 topics. I'm going to jump back a little bit. We're going to do some international news. Power outage in Venezuela causes economic crisis in RuneScape game. Now, I did not know what RuneScape was, but I think it's something similar to Minecraft or World of Warcraft. It's an immersive online game. And what I take from this is just further evidence of how terrible the Venezuelan economy is, because there's apparently a sector of people that it is their job to gold mine on this video game, and that pays better than having a job in Venezuela. And then on top of that, the fake currency in the game is better than the currency of the bolivar. And whenever a video game is beating you in terms of inflation, you are not in a good spot. So I would take this as Yet another slight to the socialist policies of Hugo Chavez and his sidekick buddy.
Yeah, if arcade games or if video games are bringing down everything, this is like Bitcoin meets the arcade right here. I didn't quite understand what that was either, and then I saw it, and I thought these people are buying this almost as currency. They say it's more lucrative than having a job.
I would think so.
Selling this RuneScape currency. I was at a restaurant. My wife and I were at a restaurant last night, and the waiter, we just love waiters and waitresses. They come and hang out. They become part of the family for an hour. And this guy said, well, when I get off tonight, my girlfriend and I and several friends are coming over. We're going to play Dungeons and Dragons all night. I'm like, oh, well, I felt nostalgic. Like,
did you play D&D in high school?
I didn't, but I
was about to say, you strike me as like dating cheerleaders and doing field parties in high school.
Yeah, I was the athlete. I was every bit Varsity Blues, which, God bless those that are scamming their way into colleges these days. But I know what it is, and I mean, I messed around with it a little bit with my nerdy cousins and stuff, but I felt nostalgic. So these games, these arcade games, are really kind of that role-playing type. Yeah. It's a 21st century role-play.
I think they are, although I'll take kind of a swing at them. I'd rather people do D&D.
Yeah.
Just because I think D&D, you're going to socially sate yourself much better than in an online game. I'm not saying the online game doesn't have social value to it, but I think that if you're around a tabletop meeting people, you're probably going to have a better time.
And that's what they were saying that they do, is they kind of have game night at their house. They go all night long because they're in the service industry.
And so this is right now. This is like last week.
Last night, actually. And anyway, that was the deal. And I thought, well, wow, that people are still doing that. That's cool.
I'm kind of surprised that it's still going on, because like when I was doing it in high school, I thought it was on its last legs, because it was like that had come out in like the 70s, and I graduated in '03, so I thought that would kind of, and it's come back. So like I don't know whether it's sort of like a kick against the internet, where people just want to be physically, but I think it is very imaginative, and it's like a lot of role playing. I know, like there's a fair amount of comedians that did it a lot. Steve Colbert, like if you follow him, he was really into D&D, and I think that's kind of where he got his improv start off, was playing these different characters in it.
There's something to that, of course, I graduated in '91. That's back in the days of the
so you're like full throttle Gen X.
Yes, 100% right in the middle. And of course, growing up with my mother being the church pianist, things like D&D were evil.
Oh, right.
Role playing is the devil.
Okay.
That's you're allowing spirits to inhabit your body. So
and you have to get really far into D&D before you can actually summon a demon and inhabit your body. They won't even talk to people on level 20 and below. Yeah, you really have to do it a long time.
But yeah, I think I go back to like the video game culture of today. I'll just make this comment and get off.
Atari.
The thing, I think social media is the downfall of Western civilization, maybe civilization itself. I think that online game playing is the same way, because it is destroying the sense of community and personal relationships.
I think you're. I don't think games are doing it. I think social media is. Yeah, I think you're right. I think like
I'm just saying the people who plug in and you're having a fight with somebody in Thailand, but I agree with you of sitting around the table.
Yeah, I think that's much better. I think I'm going to do an episode on virtual reality here in a couple of weeks, because I got an Oculus Go here recently, not the Rift, which is the really like I got the cheaper one that you don't need a setup for. I got it because I don't have a. When I got my apartment here in Dallas, I didn't want to have a TV in the living room. I watch TV. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I don't watch TV. I do watch TV. I just didn't want it to be the visual focal point of the room, because if I have people over, I want to look at them.
Where's your feng shui?
Huh? Yeah.
Where's your feng shui?
Well, I want if people come into my place, they're the focus of the room. I want the person that's visiting to be the focus.
I like you more and more every time I'm around you, Mighty Heaton. I'm telling you, I appreciate that. That's good.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's good stuff.
So noting that, I went, okay, well, I do want to watch TV, though, and right now I just have this tiny little Air Max screen, so I got this Oculus Go. It's cool because I can watch Netflix on it, so it's almost like I've got this spare room that I have a 10-inch television in, or 10-foot television in. I don't know measurements for it. It's a very large TV screen.
Big TV.
In my alpine cabin that I watch it in the VR world. And I'm not, I watch, every 2-3 nights, but I could see how that would become, particularly VR, could become so immersive in the future, to where if you were playing a game in that and it were VR and like you kind of lost touch, I could see people disappearing for months at a time.
Well, for real. So there's been plenty of course, dramatic, movies and things like Ready Player One that came out. It was the teeny bopper movie, whatever, the teenage. And I'm watching this thing and I'm like, I know they're telling a tale here, but we're not far from a lot of this.
I don't think we are. If you're in, actually, if you're ever in Plano, There's a thing called the Void. It's at the Cineplex out there, and it's super. It's worth going to. I'm not going to slag it at all. It's great. It's like a 3D. It's like AR and VR. So you're going into the Star Wars universe. You're putting on your VR headset. At which point you and I would look to each other like we're stormtroopers, and like uncannily so. But also, it's physically mapped into the world you're walking around in too. So in reality, you and I are wearing headsets. We're bumping into walls and stuff. But in our view, we're walking through a Death Star equivalent or something like that. Yeah. And it was wonderful and super immersive. But I went, yeah, if that were a World War II game, or if that were Game of Thrones or something, people are going to go down that rabbit hole for a long time. So my point is, if you're at home, figure out how to buy stock in this, and then email me. I will exchange with you smoking jacket tips if you will give me good stock tips on how to get into VR on the early, because I think it's going to be a thing.
Yeah, it is. But Venezuela, again, it affected the gaming world.
It did.
It affects. Well, look,
it actually dropped. Like it had an effect on the economics of the gaming world too, because they were apparently this giant core.
And to put a drawstring on that whole thing, people were blown away by the deal because, here's Venezuela that was at one time the third largest economy in the world, and I'm sure that it probably did affect a number of these things, and now it's gone.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Good luck, guys. Good luck in Venezuela. So this headline's different than the political stuff we've been doing, but I thought it was wonderful. Guy on Ambien accidentally proposes to girlfriend, wakes up, doesn't remember any of it. And is Ambien's like a sleep drug? I don't know why I looked instinctively to you, but
I'll tell you about Ambien. I'll tell you about any drug you want to know about.
Oh, nice. We'll do a full episode of just like
I'm rolling on Molly right now.
Get to know drugs with Chad. Yeah.
No, the thing about Ambien, and of course, Roseanne Barr, she claimed that she was on Ambien when she tweeted about Valerie Jarrett and all that. And here's the thing about Ambien that's dangerous. I took one ever in my life 10 or 12 years ago because I was having trouble sleeping, and I don't like sleeping that hard. So I was like, no, I can't do this. I can't do this.
So it's like a quasi-coma?
Yeah, pretty much. But here's the thing. So people will take Ambien, and then they will remain awake. Like if you take Ambien, go to bed, go to sleep. Some people will stay through the sleepy phase, and then it becomes you're in a psychotic phase. Or people have taken Ambien, gone to bed, and then they wake up, and it's the equivalent of sleepwalking, and now they're out driving around in their underwear in the car.
To be very clear on this, I should only take Ambien if there's like another adult to watch me.
You need to be watched.
Okay.
You need to be watched. I think Ambien is a horrible, horrible drug. There's other things you can do if you're needing to get sleep. But that's what's happening is these people... It becomes, in some cases, a hallucinogen.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people, Timothy Leary would be proud of Ambien because you have, like this guy, the questions that are raised in my head is, did he already have the ring? I'm assuming he did, because if you bought the ring on Ambien, holy hell, you're not going to be surprised about the new fiance. You're going to be surprised by your bank account because you're like, she's worth it.
He had, I read it, and he said that he had planned to marry her, but he was planning on doing it a year and a half hence. Like I think he'd bought the ring, and he was planning on upgrading or something, which I having not proposed to a woman before, I didn't know you bought rings and then upgraded. I thought you just kind of waited and purchased one. But
yeah,
he bought the ring, had it in some location, proposed to her, and then she, the following morning he wakes up and she's got the ring on. Which I think, by the way, Ambien should latch onto this as a marketing campaign targeted at women. Did he not put a ring on it? Buy some Ambien, buy whatever ring you want. Yeah. Give him some Ambien. Tell him that he proposed. He's going to be I would be too embarrassed. Yeah. I wouldn't be like, I didn't do that. I think you drugged me and got me to buy you a ring. No, I just married the woman. I could not marry her. I couldn't deal with the social pressure.
Forget every kiss begins with K. It begins every
ring begins with Ambien.
Yeah. The curiosity in me is, how does this become news? Because this guy now has to admit it. He has to take it out there. I mean, what are the steps that are taken for this to become a news story?
That's a great question.
So this guy wakes up and he's like, oh. And she's wearing a little quarter carat, nugget on her hand. And he's like, ugh. Like I was holding on to that to hoping I was going to win the lottery in 12 months. And then I was going to get you the real ring. But somehow this guy got high enough that he's like, you know what, screw it, I'm feeling good tonight. Let me pull this out of the sock drawer. Boom, there it is. And now he wakes up the next morning, he's engaged, and she's like, guess what? Oh, I'm so in love with you, And he's like, you're not pregnant, are you? No, you gave me. So this is the deal. So what does he do? Does he call the local affiliate and say, hey, guys, guess what I did? Or maybe, here's my guess. My guess is somehow the local radio station gets a hold of this. and enough people tell it, and then a local DJ starts telling the stories like, hey, let me tell you what a guy did over here in Milwaukee. You know, and that's the kind of thing that I think, and also now it's national news. It's humiliating.
I'll add my conspiracy threat or conspiracy element to this. There's another story we'll get to later on about sandwiches that I have the same thought on. Now, this one, maybe not, but let's say were we to read this article, that about halfway down, he says, I was so surprised. I'd purchased a beautiful ring from Bob's Rings over on 4th Street, which was really below average. It was only $1,000 for the ring, despite the amount of diamonds. It was a great deal at Bob's Ring Shop. Anyway, Ambien, then you're like, oh, Bob's Ring Shop did a great job with this one, where Bob's Ring Shop just made up a story and emailed it to a bunch of bloggers, and then the bloggers in turn go to the radio stations, and then they, because there is this food chain, right? Like, so when I was writing for Fox Business at one point, it was International Women's Day, which I think just happened last week.
Yep.
International Women's Day, this is maybe 3 years ago. A story broke on International Women's Day. How embarrassing. Someone picked up their T-shirt, and the wash instructions on it said, give it to your wife. She can do it. Oh, these massages, how embarrassing. And I was like, and I built this into the script. We would not say the name of the company that did it, because I knew what they were doing. The company knew that if they did this, they were going to get $40 million worth of free advertising, and by Thursday, no one would remember why they remembered the name, but they'd remember the name. And that does happen. Whenever you hear like a crazy story, or like to jump into the political realm, about I guess it'd be 3 years ago now, I read a story about like, hey, like in case you're curious, Joe Biden doesn't have hair plugs, and like, you know, we went and spoke to his barber, and she assures us, and I was like, no one does that. Like, no, what happened is Biden was thinking about running for president, and whatever team he had was clever and was like, this is going to come up. And so they started planting these stories where they'd call someone and go, hey, like, hot take, we know Biden's barber. He doesn't have hair plugs. But it's not like that. Just, you're right. It doesn't just pop into the ether in and of itself.
Yeah, it doesn't metamorphosize into a thing.
So
Biden's looking good these days, by the way.
Huh?
Biden's looking good.
Is he? Is he doing? He's got a good smile.
He's a handsome man.
You think he's going to run? I think he'll run.
Oh yeah, he'll run.
I think he'll run. I think now that Beto's run, I think he has to have peer pressure.
I still see a completely white hetero male ticket in Biden and Beto. I think it's going to come.
Oh, you think that'll happen?
I think it's going to happen.
I hope.
I actually quoted you on News and Why It Matters.
Nice.
A recent episode where I said I agreed with Heaton. The thing he should have done was thrown his hat in the ring under Biden and been vice president 8 years, and then because they probably would have won, and he might still.
I'm not sure what'll happen. I do hope. I hope Biden or someone like Biden. I don't care about the gender or color, but I hope somebody like Biden, in the sense that I do not want the next election to be Trump versus a socialist, because that is the Sophie's choice for me. I don't know where I go with that. If it's like a John Hickenlooper versus Trump, not a hard call on my end. No. Like easygoing technocrat that likes markets. Fine, I can handle that, right? But like if Bernie Sanders is in there, I'm like, I guess I move to Hot River. I don't know where I go.
I'm going to the rivers. So what's the name of the town in Massachusetts again? What you just said?
Fall River.
Fall River. I'm moving to Fall River. No,
Hot River is an unrelated principality in Australia that I've got connections with. That's where I go. I'm not going to move to Massachusetts with a socialist president. That is not what I'm going to do.
Yeah, good luck with that. No, and let me go back to a point you made. No one cares about the gender or color. Literally no one. They just say they do. They just say they do.
Because I do think that the kind of hyper woke, I do think they care. Like, I don't think that the electorate, because
they're going to be pissed. They're going to say they're pissed. But at the end of the day, if it comes down to Beto, who is a frat boy, white boy, rich boy, all of these things, if it comes down to Beto and Trump, they are still going to vote for Beto.
Yeah,
the hyper woke will not vote for Trump. They'll still vote for Beto.
Two white guys. But I'll put it on the other thing. Like, let's say Ben Carson had taken it, like I think most of the people that voted for Trump probably, I think a significant portion would have been fine voting for Ben Carson or for Herman Cain. I think tribalism trumps racial identity in general. People are more likely to go with partisan bias.
And I do agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that.
So, Rook, I want to give you my quasi Ambien story. I've not taken Ambien. Yet. But the night is young. When I was in college, I learned that you don't mix beer with liquor because you get a hangover. And in my 30s, I've learned that you don't mix scotch with back pain medication because you black out. I've got some chronic pain issues, and I had an injection in my back delightful. And I was going to the Friars Club. And I asked my doctor, I was like, I'm going to the Friars Club, and I'm going to have a couple of whiskeys. Is this okay? And she's like, perfectly fine. The thing's not going to get into your bloodstream. And I don't think that was the case at all. And I taught my friends are there, and according to them, I am like a very charming Alzheimer's patient. Like I'm very pleasant, and I have no short-term memory. So I told them some story, like told this whole anecdote, and then took a sip and went, which reminds me, and then told the exact same story, beat for beat, and they're both going, did we just timequake? Did we time travel with Heaton? What's happening here? So
I'm like every now and then, maybe once or twice a month, I will break a Xanax in half if I'm having a little anxiety at night, and because I get there, you know, and I'm like, my brain's just running. I can't go to sleep, and I'll take it. But I always, like, if I've been drinking, hell no. There's no way.
Don't do that. Don't mix. Yeah.
No.
Good call. This
refuse to do it.
Uncle Chad and Uncle Heaton tell you, be careful, guys.
You will wind up with a comfort horse. You really will. And you won't even know how you bought it. Or a fiance.
Yeah, either one. You know,
from Russia.
We're all of them, yeah. Be careful. So in South Florida, this poll confused me. I read this initially. It said, in South Florida, drivers would trade sex for less traffic, poll shows. Now, I read that headline and went, yeah, I would have sex for less traffic, too. I would 100%, like,
it's confusing.
I would have sex for the current level of traffic. Like to me, low traffic's good, more sex also good.
Yeah.
Turns out I misinterpreted the poll. The poll was, would you give up sex for less traffic? And about, I think 22% of people in Florida would give up sex for less traffic, which doesn't surprise me because the median age in Florida is like 82. So I'm not surprised.
Of course they would.
Yeah, like, yeah, no, yeah. I
would save money on prescription drugs.
Yeah.
No, look, here's what you do. You have sex in the morning, and you go to work a little bit late. So get you a job that you need to be in about 11 a.m. and have morning sex. That's how my day started today. I had morning sex, and I came into the studio today about 11 a.m. There was no traffic at 11 a.m. It was perfectly fine.
That's okay. Done. That sounds great.
So now I got both. No traffic and some nookie.
Yeah, and I got half those things. I won't clarify which one of those happened when I strolled in at 10, all stressed, stringed out.
No wonder you got back pain.
Okay, it does make me wonder, like, is this what policy is in Florida? Like in Nebraska, they're like, guys, we need to build a road.
Yeah.
Do we want to put in, like, do we want to have a 3% municipal sales tax here, or do we want to not have the road? Whereas in Florida, there's just some guy that's like, would you all give up sex for less traffic? And it's like, thanks, Governor.
Yeah. That's when I saw that article, I didn't understand the correlation. Like, why? I mean, what does sex have to do with traffic unless you're having sex in traffic? That's a whole other deal. Maybe you're the one causing the traffic because you're having sex in a car.
You know what I'm going to say? Taking the libertarian chops, that sounds great to me. Let's start some like we'll call them nookie booths. They'll be like nookie toll booths, and you pay extra every month. And you $40 extra. There's a sex lane that you're allowed to have sex in, and it alleviates traffic congestion.
You can get in the HOV lane because there's multiple people in the car, and it gives a whole new meaning to driving an automated Tesla. You just rock and roll, man.
All we're doing is helping technology.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, from the world of nature, a whale swallows and spits up a driver. I don't think I need to elaborate on this. I mean, it's pretty much. I'm sorry, not a driver. A diver.
Yeah.
That's. I'm not drunk. There actually is an R. I just misspelled this earlier.
Yeah.
So a guy, I think it was in Australia or maybe South Africa, got swallowed by this whale, and it took him some distance and then spit him out. Yeah. The only thing I could think of is if I were in that situation, I'm sure I would panic. But if I did have the presence of mind, I'd try and figure out how to put my hand through the blowhole to give a thumbs up, because I think that would be the greatest photo ever. Just we're like flip somebody off. Like, that whale's flipping us off. How dare that whale?
This guy, this guy had an adventure. He really did. Never think, like there are things that, like getting struck by lightning or bitten by a shark while getting struck by lightning in a lake in Kansas. I mean, there are things that just don't happen in life, and this guy just
because they eat krill, right? If he was in a krill costume, I can understand it. That's his fault.
Anatomically, a whale could fit, like, say, a blue whale or sperm whale. They could fit, because this was a sperm whale, I think.
So a big one.
So a blue whale, which is even bigger, they can fit a human being in their mouth, but their throats are too small to swallow. So people talk about, oh, I got eaten, I got swallowed by a whale. It's physically impossible. Now, an orca will just eat you because they're
killer whales.
They're killer. They'll just eat you. They'll chew you apart. So this thing had no intention. It was an accident, just same time, same place, happened to have his mouth open, and this guy gets a mouth hug from a sperm whale, which is so many jokes right there. But
I know. I've been watching this going, all right, where's the axe going to fall? Because there's so many intros to this.
Yeah, so that's what happened. This guy just got a big gentle mouth hug from Free Willy. And
you know what would be funny is if he turned this into a movie called Mouth Hug. You'd have two very different sets of people that would show up.
You would if the sperm whale named Free Willy gave you a mouth hug, you're probably in deep ellum.
Yeah. And you know what? That's one of those weird things where like the adults can have a great time, the kids can have a great time. It's only the 14-year-olds that are confused.
There's adult humor.
I met several shark attack survivors right before I left D.C. for New York. I got invited. I was working for a group called Cloture Club at the time, and they dispatched me to like whatever kind of Shark Week affiliate thing was going on, and they wanted me to pick a shark attack survivor and interview him. And most of them had the same kind of story, where they're mostly marine biologists, and they'd all go, I was a shark bit my calf, and it did cause damage, and I've got an artificial leg now, but they're beautiful creatures, and we were in their territory. And they all had that. And then they got to this fourth guy, and the fourth guy's like, the shark bit my arm off, and so for the last 10 years, I went out and I tried to kill as many sharks as I could.
This guy has an Ahab complex.
Yeah, and he's like, one day I was on a boat and I had this hammerhead shark on, and I was beating it to death with a hatchet, and it wouldn't die, and I thought, my God, I respect this animal, and I have dedicated my life to saving him ever since then. And I was like, that's the guy to interview.
Exactly.
That guy that killed as many sharks as he could and is now a friend of sharks because he respects how hard they are to kill. That dude is fun to talk to.
There I was on the Pequod with my man Queequeg. There she blows. No, I don't get in the ocean, first of all.
No.
I know I don't get in the ocean.
You have a cowboy hat by law.
I don't get in the ocean.
You can listen to Jimmy Buffett and go into the ocetion while wearing a cowboy hat, but that's the only situation.
I'll be by the water. I'll be on the water, but I don't get in the water.
Yeah.
I just don't. There's too many things in there that I'm not a fan of.
Do you like seafood?
I love seafood.
See, I'm the other way, where like I do like sushi, but in general though, like I like lobsters and crabs. They're first of all, I don't want to spend 20 minutes having to break my food open and eat
Working for your food.
If I had to hit a cow with a sledgehammer and then pull its guts out with a shovel, I don't think I would want to eat cows anymore.
That's what you should do. Every time you order a steak, there should still be fur on it, and you have to peel back the fur to get to the meat.
And I'm not going to do that. But you know why? Because I'm the top of the food pyramid. I'm not going to spend that much time. Same thing. Like I don't like chewing that much. I don't feel like I should have to chew. I'm the top of the food heap. And so like with seafood, it just kind of weirds me out. Like I think it's Jim Gaffigan talks, and he's from maybe Iowa or Indiana. I think
he's Indiana,
and he talks about that like crabs are basically sea crickets. I agree with him, and oysters are just rock snot. Yeah, 100%. I don't get it. I'm not in that camp.
I love it. I really do. I'm a seafood fanatic. I'm a buff. My wife not so much. So there's that. But I'm with you.
One more thing on whales, because I want to do more research on this. I thought it was really interesting. Apparently, they have what's called a paralimbic cleft. Now, everyone at home knows what a paralimbic cleft is, but Chad and I might be new to this term. The part of the brain that understands emotion is larger in whales than it is in us, and they also have more wrinkles than we do. So this is my civilian understanding of whale intelligence. We're clearly better at technology than they are. Even if they had opposable thumbs, I don't think they can make an iPhone. However, it is a distinct possibility that they have more complex emotions than we do. Or to put it another way, we would be sort of like whale autistic, like where there's something we're not picking up on that they get, and there's some state of emotion that they can experience that we can't, and then they might have more complex social relationships than we do. We think maybe elephants do, where elephants not as smart as us, but their social relationships are more complex than us, to where we've got friend, bartender, girlfriend, and cousin. Those are the only four.
I'd date all four.
But an elephant would have a fifth one.
Yeah.
So
So their brains are about the size of that camera right there, sitting on your desk, and but it's so intricately wired. The synapses that pop in there create this emotional depth that we don't
basically,
get.
yeah. And they've also got like dolphins can. So my first job was at the Oklahoma City Zoo.
You've had so many jobs, dude.
And it's many people would find that alarming in a hiring capacity, but at this point, I'm a character.
Yeah.
So I've managed to shoot the moon.
No, you're a millennial, and that's what's
you're right.
Because
me and everybody under 35. Yeah.
With the advent of social media, the people change careers 7 times before the age of 35.
Mm-hmm.
That's a proven.
I'm ahead of that curve, tell
me about the dolphins, though.
Oh, yeah. So hold on. Let me think. I've been a.
You were at the zoo. You were working at the zoo.
I was working at the zoo, and I hung out with the. And at the time, it's my first job, so I thought it was terrible. And in retrospect, I would pay to do it now because it was me hanging out with dolphin trainers, and I ran the carousel and dolphin show crowd control. That was my job. I operated a carousel, and I complained about it. But hanging out with I got to learn about dolphins because I'd hang out with these dolphin show trainers, and they have. We think they have the ability to communicate by sonar a visual image. So it would be like if you and I are talking, and I'm just like, bing, clown picture or whatever. We'd probably shoot each other porn. Yeah. But nonetheless, though, like some kind of image that I can just shoot into your brain, they might have that ability. So
Stormy Daniels.
Exactly.
Daniels. Where did that thought come from?
Actually, it's good that we don't. It's good. Yeah, that's all I'm thinking all the time. It's good that we don't have that though, because we never would have developed iPhones if men could just shoot images to each other. That like it would just be this giant porn network.
It's fascinating, really. It's fascinating.
Agreed.
Because I don't always want you know what I'm thinking about. I just before you want to Chris Cruz. We won't get into what I said to Chris Cruz.
Yeah.
What I need from Cruz.
You were just saying that. Yeah. We'll leave that alone. Yeah. But it was very flattering to Chris. Well, it was flattering. I
want to see the man naked. As a deterrent, not as a turn on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just something. Sometimes like you think
it's like a morbid curiosity.
Like when you're trying to turn yourself, like I don't want to be turned on right now. Think of dog poop. Think of dog poop.
You think of Chris Cruz?
I just want to think of Chris Cruz naked. Yeah, exactly.
All right, final story. Man makes sandwich, helps customers before swiping $20. So a man in Michigan went into a Subway sandwich store, told the employees there that he too was a Subway sandwich employee, and that he wanted to make his own sandwich. And they went, "You can't do that." And he went, "Watch me." And he went behind the glass, made his own sandwich, and then presumably while they're watching him in stupefaction, he went ahead and rung up orders for customers for a few minutes, opened the drawer, took $20 and left. And I think this is where it goes back to my conspiracy theory. I think this might be a lie that Subway did, where Subway went, "You know what? Hiring that child molester, not a good idea. We shouldn't have done that." What if we claim that this happened? Because we're talking about it now, right? Subway's getting the free advertising dollars. I think that this might be a lie. If not, that is the most confident man in history.
They should almost be a bit like you just send people out to see how much they can get away with that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go back there and just make my own sandwich. And say, I mean, obviously, there's a good chance this guy might have been at least a former Subway.
That was kind of,
How would you know how to work the cash register? Like, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know how to ring anything up or take anybody's money or do anything.
That's a good point.
I mean, unless it's very, things have gotten simple.
If it's like one of those old-timey, like, clink things where you pull a lever, I could probably do it. But I bet you there's probably a computer involved. So, yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
I wouldn't know how to do that. So, I mean, I assume that I wouldn't know how to do that. Maybe after a little while I could figure it out. But
take a couple Ambien and then go to Subway and see if you can pull it off.
Yeah, I'm going to take Ambien and I'm going to go shopping at Tiffany's. Yeah, I'll wind up wake up the next day with a job.
Yeah.
No, this is a curious thing. Like, I would love to go see how many people you could just send in. I mean, people with really big, cojones to go in and see how many sandwiches they could come out with. Like, if I was a CEO of Subway, I'd be like, let's run an experiment.
Yeah. And that also sounds like a decent prank show.
Yeah, it does.
Where if you just had like 8 to 9 people over the course of a day be like, "Hey, I heard I'm allowed to make my own sandwich," and then just without even saying anything, not even asking permission, come in and make their own sandwich and just see how people react to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, every now and then you get punched in the face, but I think you'd come out with more sandwiches than you think.
That's the cost of science.
Yep.
I think Newton said it, that a lot of the time you get punched in the face. And
he got hit in the head with an apple?
He did. He got punched.
You might as well get hit with a fist.
Yeah, exactly. A tree punched him in the face. Chad, it has been a pleasure having you on. I think that we've sorted most of the world's problems. Thank you.
Always. Thank you.
Remember, you can always tweet me at Mighty Heaton or Facebook me at facebook.com/Mighty Heaton, or even email me by subscribing to my newsletter at mightyheaton.com and just replying when I send it out on Fridays. I will very likely do it today. I'd also like to encourage you to subscribe to Blaze TV and download the Blaze TV app. If you do, you can watch me instead of just listening to me. Use the promo code Heaton to get $10 off your annual Blaze TV subscription. So download the Blaze TV app on iTunes or Google Play, get subscribed to the Blaze, and then fall in love with me and Chad Prather more than you already have. You can also watch portions of the show on Facebook Watch by going to facebook.com/HeatonTV. Finally, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Do you feel that enough people in America understand the connection between Ambien and whales? I don't. If you think they need to know, you could subscribe and rate and review, and that will help them find this here political orphanage. Thank you, and good day.